So it was pretty hot in parts of New South Wales today, and the Weather Bureau had a heat wave weather warning in place, and the media went nuts, as usual, as if this country hasn't seen hot weather before.
Sydney households are bracing for a third day of heatwave and blackout warnings, while residents near Penrith feel the burn, with the local beach still closed.
Millions of Sydney residents are bracing for some of the hottest spring weather in years as the mercury soars towards 40 degrees.
A severe heatwave warning is in place across eastern New South Wales, with temperatures set to soar up to 12 degrees above average for spring.
Good afternoon. We start with the weather alert, Justine. Have a look at this. Heatwave warnings issued across the state. They're expected to be so severe in the coming days, there are now concerns for our power grid.
We got all the drama, of course. I even heard one expert today warning people to stay in the shade and drink water if they're hot. I mean, whoever would have thought of that, hey? How on earth did the rest of us survive before getting this sort of genius advice? It is all, of course, a manifestation of global warming hysteria. It provides a chance for the alarmists to pretend for a moment that all their wild predictions have come true. But another result of global warming hysteria is our rush to renewables and our national energy self-harm, forcing coal-fired power out and leaving us short of electricity just when we need it to run our air conditioners. It's pretty amusing and just a little infuriating, actually, to watch our politicians, the same ones responsible for the energy mess, trying to blame their failures on climate change.
When you've got a massive heat wave, you're going to find pressure on energy systems.
This is reasonably early in spring to have, this earlier in the year to have a series of days well above 30 degrees, but increasingly this will become the nature of Sydney's summers, and obviously we have to adapt to that. As a result of that, we've been notified by AEMO that there are insufficient reserves in terms of generation available over the coming day.
Yeah, it's late spring, almost summer, and here we are again. We're running short of power, and their only advice is for us to stop using electricity.
So these are the type of things that people can do. They can keep their blinds closed and their rooms cooler. As I've said, solar's going gangbusters at the moment. If you've got air conditioning, go for it as hard as possible and cool down the house before you get home tonight if you can. We're asking that if you get home and you need to use your air conditioning, that is totally fine. But if you can turn it up a couple of degrees, that makes a big difference in terms of demand. If you're not in a room, you don't need to have the light on. And if you can do the non-essential electricity use, wait until you use the dishwasher until after 8 tonight. If you can hold on to that washing to do it overnight or do it in the morning, that's what we're asking people to do. Every little bit helps.
Good Lord, a first world nation. Let me just provide the facts, the context that exposes the duck shoving you're hearing from Labor. Australia's peak energy demand is always in the hotter months. It's always when we need to run our air conditioners. That's not climate change, that's our climate. We don't do a lot of winter heating in this country, but when it's hot, we sure do a lot of cooling. That's why we buy air conditioners, not so we can be told not to cool our rooms so much because our governments have destroyed our energy grid. The whole point of our electricity grid is not to have it cater for times of low demand. The idea is that it can reliably supply peak demand on days like today. That's always been the case. And the only thing that's changed is our foolish and ideological rush to renewables. But Blackout Bowen, instead of working out how he got his name, he tries to blame the very power source that he's forcing out.
So it would be disingenuous and dishonest to blame renewables, Mr Speaker, when you have 5 units out, 4 of them coal, 2 of them breakdowns, when you consider we have not had a day in the last 18 months where there hasn't been a breakdown in a coal-fired power unit across the national energy market.
This is unbelievable. The bloke is completely deluded. This is energy denial from Bowen. The reason coal-fired power stations have closed down around the country is because the policies he pushes have been designed to force them out. The reason new plants aren't being built and old plants aren't spending money on refurbishments is because his policies are forcing them to close. His push to renewables is forcing them out. That's the whole point. He and other politicians have been so reckless that taxpayers are now paying hundreds of millions of dollars extra to keep New South Wales' largest coal-fired generator at Eraring, keep that going for 2 more years. Without it today, the blackouts would have been everywhere. For most of today, about 60% of the electricity right across the national market has come from coal and gas, mainly coal. Solar kicks in with 10% or more in the afternoon, but around about this time of the day, as the solar energy fades, we're left with fossil fuels and the wing and a prayer of wind turbines. Unreliable wind, intermittent wind. All part of Labor's plan, and it's failing. Good luck.